Omori is a game that I shouldn't have played, or at least a game that I shouldn't have played yet. Let me just say that I enjoyed Omori, like really enjoyed it. It's one of the best games I have ever played, just under Persona 4, and that's because it's Persona 4. You can't really beat it. It was honestly a masterpiece that was definitely worth the long development of multiple years, and I think the game turned out amazing, just like the developer Omocat wanted. The story is just simply incredible. Most games that I play, I can't binge/play for a long time. After around 1 or 2 hours, I have to get off just to kind of get a break or a breather. But with Omori, I never wanted to stop playing. I played for like 5 hours a day sometimes just because of how good this game is. However, with that said, I don't think I should have experienced the game yet, but even still, I think it was also the right time for me to play it, which I'll get into later in the video. Before this video starts, I want to put in a trigger warning as this game includes dark topics like death, depression, wow, another RPG about depression I would never have guessed, and suicide, which even the game makes clear every time you start it. But with that said, let's get on with the video. If you don't know what Omori is, it's an RPG Maker style game released in 2020 following the main character Sunny, who is a Hikikomori, and Omori, which is himself in the dream world. More on that later. You explore both worlds to help Sunny with his fears and fight enemies just like any RPG with turn-based combat. Now, let me just say, I think I'm the only person in the world to genuinely enjoy turn-based RPGs. I'm sorry, but sometimes when I come home and I just want to relax, but I still want a game, and turn-based gameplay just doesn't require that much energy compared to most games. Besides the point, the gameplay includes emotions that act as Pokemon-type matchups, where some emotions are stronger than others. The 3 main emotions in play being sadness, anger, and happiness. There are 2 others, including neutral, which you start every battle as well as fear, but more on that later. But that's a basic summary of the game and what it's all about. Sounds kinda simple, but the story is something else and is the main focus for this video. And of course, spoilers. Now, I got Omori way back in 2020 when the game initially released, and I was enjoying it. I was about 3/4 of the way done, and I was about at the 20-hour mark or so. And I was also getting a new PC at the time, but sadly, Omori doesn't have cloud saving. And if you don't know what cloud saving is, it essentially lets you save your game progress from one device to another device, and that's kind of what I needed because I was getting a new PC, and sadly, Omori just doesn't have cloud saving for whatever reason. And I was very, very, very disappointed when I got my new PC, re-downloaded Omori, and saw that all my progress, those 20 hours, were wiped. Completely gone. I was devastated, to say the least. And you know, I just didn't really want to replay those 20 hours again. And I thought maybe, you know, I can take a break from Omori, play something else, you know, get into something new, and then once I kind of forget about the story, I'll get back into Omori. And that's exactly what I did. I waited a whole year to get back into Omori. And that was probably the biggest mistake of my life, but also probably the best choice I ever made in my life. Also, kind of unrelated, but a side note, in the thumbnail, it shows Omori with blonde hair, and that's because originally I had blonde hair making the video, and I never actually recorded me with blonde hair, and now I have gray hair because originally I wanted to have gray hair, but when I got it done, it looked more blonde than gray, so I just decided, you know what, I'll just make it blonde because I want Omori to look like me, because I thought, you know, that'd be such a cool concept for a thumbnail. But when I started actually doing the camera stuff, I got my hair redone to actually be more gray, so that's why the thumbnail has blonde hair and I'm gray haired, you know, sorry about that. The game starts you off in white space, a place you have been living for as long as you can remember. It has a carpet, a laptop, your sketchbook, a tissue to wipe your sorrows away, a black light bulb, your cat Miwo, and a white door. If you try to walk out of this space, you'll be treated by red hands that when touched will send you back to the starting area. Later in the game, it's known to you that white space is to be nothing, a place to survive but not to live, a home with no warmth. Even still, your conscience cannot be erased. and the black light bulb represents an idea, and also former memories. More on that later. When I first played Omori and got into white space, it felt strangely familiar for some reason. I remember when I was very little, like very little, I had 2 dreams where I was actually in this white space. The first dream, when I was insanely little, like I don't even know how I remember this. I was just kind of in a white room and I woke up from a bed and that was it. My dream abruptly ended, and that's kind of why I remember it, because it was just such a strange dream. And I remember the second dream I had, I was a little bit older, still pretty young though. I remember waking up into the same room or so, but in there was some strange tiki head in front of me, and then there was also like this door for whatever reason on the right hand side, and I remember opening it and then waking up again. And those 2 dreams I still remember to this day just because of how weird that is, and I think that really helps me kind of connect to Omori. Anyways, in white space, you enter through the door and end up meeting with your friends Kel, Aubrey, and Hiro, all in some sort of play space. These are your party members and travel with you throughout the game, helping you fight. When you leave this space, you can meet with Mari, your sister, and Basil at this playground. After playing with the kids at the playground, you go to Basil's house and go through his photo album, but a photo drops from his hands, briefly showing a photo he doesn't remember taking. Looking at it, he's in disbelief, and the game briefly shows it before sending you back into white space. If you haven't figured it out already, white space is a safety net for Omori for when anything in his dream world goes wrong. This time, however, there is no door. Instead, there's simply a knife, and using it, well... You then wake up in the real world, where you play as Sunny. In the real world, you usually overcome one of Sunny's many fears, the first being heights. Overcoming it, you hear a knocking at the door. Opening it shows you a jump scare, then you go back to sleep. You wake up, back in the dream world, where your main goal is to now look for Basil, who has gone missing. Every time you enter back into the dream world, it's considered the start of an act. Now, some people consider you being in the dream world to be filler part of the game, as it doesn't really progress the story until you get to the end of the act in the dream world. Personally, I enjoyed the dream world segments as it was pure RNG fun with enemies and wacky scenarios. You can even lead with other party members, which each have their own abilities, like Aubrey being able to break large objects, or Kel being able to stand and throw objects. Hiro, he doesn't do much. He can sweet talk to NPCs, but this isn't used much besides getting discounts at shops. But that reminds me that there are shops and money in this game. However, money is clams for some reason, and with clams, you can buy snacks and toys which help increase health, or juice, or help with emotions. Juice is what lets party members use skills and are basically special attacks. I won't go into too much depth over everything that you do in the dream world, as if I did, this video would be over 3 hours long, so instead, I'll just kind of give a small summary of each act of the dream world. The first area is called Otherworld, which is space themed, with the main goal of trying to help a character named Space Boyfriend get over his breakup over Sweetheart, who becomes important later. You do this by recovering a mixtape she made for him by going through a junkyard. Playing it for him, however, makes him angry and leads you to your first boss battle. Most bosses in this game focus on having one emotion. Space Boyfriend, for example, gets angrier as the battle progresses. Something I forgot to add is that the 3 emotions, sadness, happiness, and anger, can also go into deeper levels, such as sadness going into becoming more depressed, which makes you even more defensive than you already are. The main strategy for the first battle is to try to make your friends happy, as Space Boyfriend focuses on making himself angry and happiness beats anger. Follow-up attacks are another element in battles, and you have a meter at the bottom of your screen to tell you how many you can use. Each one takes up 3 points and can hold up to 10 points. You gain these points when your party members take damage, which I kinda like because it helps you combat taking damage. Most turn-based RPGs just make you get hit without having any way to retaliate back, which is probably why most people don't even like turn-based gameplay. That's why I like games like Yakuza, as you can at least block to take less damage. Anyways, if you manage to fill the meter to 10, you can attack Omori to release all the energy to an all-out attack to deal huge damage using, you guessed it, the power of friendship. Which I kinda find funny, as you use that in the game all about depression. Anyways, after beating him, he moves on from Sweetheart, and you then leave the area to meet a figure looking very similar to Basil. He leads you to the barn, and then you wake up. It's now morning, and you hear another knocking. You figure out that you were leaving in 3 days from a voicemail from your mom. The knocking this time is Kel. You can actually ignore him, and this leads you into the Hikikomori route, where you stay in the dream world. I haven't done this route yet, but I really want to, as it reveals more of the dream world than usual. Answering the door, you're greeted by Kel, who hangs out with you. You hear Basil in the park crying for help, but then you see it. It's Aubrey, but she looks nothing like she does in the dream world, looking like she had lost something and is taking it out on herself. Anyways, you fight her, but Kel sees that you have a knife and stops you before anything bad happens. You find out that the reason that Basil was crying is that Aubrey had took his photo album. You hang out with Basil and Kel looking for her, finding out she's in a church of all places. You fight her again and see that she has Basil's photo album and threw it in the trash. Most of the photos are still in the album, luckily, but the ones of Omori are gone. You give it back to Basil and end the day going back to sleep. Before you do this, however, you have to face another fear of your own. This time, it's spiders. But after you face it, this ends the first act of the game. You end up back in the dream world, this time heading to a sort of spider-infested forest, which Hiro is afraid of. You make it through and head towards Sproutmole Colony, as well as Sweetheart's Castle, which we all know as Space Boyfriend's ex. There, you see a show held by Sweetheart herself, where she looks for a next suitor. She falls in love with Hiro, but Hiro rejects her and they get thrown into a dungeon because of it. From there, you escape and make your way to Sweetheart. She focuses on being happy, so the main strategy is to try to be sad, as sad beats happy. However, her attacks sometimes inflict anger on you and your party, so it's a struggle to remain sad. Once you defeat her, her stage is destroyed, showing a giant black hole in its place. Jumping down brings you to the Lost Library, which explains previous events with Sunny and his friends, and alludes to another fear he has, which is drowning. The end of the room shows an opening with Basil, but then it has another jump scare, and you end up back in white space again, showing that it's a safety net for anything that happens to Sunny. You wake up after doing a little stabby, and now you have 2 days left. You meet up with Kel again and see Basil looking around in the park. You leave him and go pick up a sandwich at a pizza shop since Hiro is coming home from college. You take it home and look for Basil again, but he is nowhere to be found. You go into a hideout your friends used to hang out and see Aubrey again with Basil, both talking about Omori. Aubrey pushes Basil in a fit of rage into water, and you end up going into the water, overcoming your fear of drowning. It seems like everything is lost, until Hiro saves both of you and Basil. Aubrey leaves, and you take Basil home while you go home with Kel and Hiro. They decide to stay and sleep at your place, and that concludes Act 2. Alright, you know the drill by now. Once again, you end up in white space, but this time, once you leave, your friends are not there to greet you. Actually, no one is around, and the whole place is covered in fog. The only one around is Mari, near the shore, but she seems kinda off. Anyway, you swim with her and head to a dock. Traveling towards it shows a giant window with Mari saying that we have to remember. But what does this mean? She disappears and you enter a whirlpool. You end up next to a well and enter down to Last Resort, a giant hotel. You find Kel near the entrance, and he tells you that Aubrey and Hiro are both inside the hotel. They all sign contracts to work for a giant shark named Mr. Jocelyn for free. At this point in the game, though, the friends are forgetting what they set out to do in the first place: to find Basil. You go into the hotel to meet with Aubrey, who has now quit her job as a secretary. The last party member to find is Hiro, who has pretty much become Mr. Jocelyn's right-hand man and won't let him go without a fight. After you defeat Mr. Jocelyn, you have to now fight Pluto, who you freed from Captain Space Boyfriend way back in the game. However, he's super strong and is super hard to defeat, but I have bragging rights as I beat him on my first try. But it doesn't matter if you win or lose in the fight, as no matter what, Mr. Jocelyn lets Hiro go, since Hiro has already made a promise with his friends to help find and look for Basil. You make your way out of the hotel and are now on an endless highway with toll gates that are super expensive to pay. Luckily, you can avoid them, but if you have enough money like me, you can just pay them off without having to go through the harder route. Sweetheart is actually going down the road too, and you'll see why later. But you make your way down the deeper well, which is where the game starts to get super weird. The deeper well essentially holds some of Omori's deeper thoughts. The NPCs can only talk to Omori and tell him that he needs to wake up, that he needs to remember the truth, that only he can save himself if he so chooses. The whole area is just weird and kinda unsettling, but as you make your way through, you meet a giant whale named Humphrey, who you enter his stomach since Sweetheart is in there for some reason and you need to also be in there. You go through his stomach and you find out that there are slime witches / scientists who are trying to help Sweetheart create the perfect suitor, but they all fail according to Sweetheart. Sweetheart leaves, but the slime witches demand payment, but she says that we'll pay for her. So there's another boss battle, but this time it's with the slime witches, and the gimmick is that they randomly give themselves and your party different emotions, so there aren't many strategies you can really do in this battle. After defeating them, you realize they need money to feed Humphrey, who's hungry, and ends up eating the witches and your party as well. You end up defeating Humphrey and he spits you out. At this point, your party members don't even know why they were in there in the first place and are super confused. But the only thing you can do now is find the remaining keys for Hangman. Something I forgot to explain is that in White Space you have a laptop with a Hangman program, which is just, the game Hangman. Like the game where they guess letters in order to figure out a word or a phrase. Well, during the game you collect keys that help spell the phrase. The last key you need to find is in a place called Pinwheel Forest, a place inaccessible to you from the start of the game, but once you go up there you find the last key, which is C. All the keys spell out a phrase saying, "Welcome to Black Space." You have a cutscene that shows Basil's house surrounded by dead trees, and there's a giant black hole inside, just like the one in Sweetheart's castle. Jumping into the hole then sends you into Black Space. Black Space represents Omori's repressed fears and memories. There are many doors, each room really not making much sense, and it's pretty much just chaos. Some rooms even have Basil in them, but he ends up dying in every single one, some in more horrific ways than others. After a while, you find a red door, and entering it sends you to Red Space. This place is where Omori repressed the truth. Here, you kill Basil in the dream world and sit on a throne of hands. And this ends Act 3. You wake up, back in your house, once again after the nightmare of Act 3. You see Hiro and Kel gone, but it turns out Hiro did all your chores you were supposed to do, as well as made you and Kel breakfast. You get yet another knock on the door. This time it's one of Aubrey's friends, saying how Aubrey has not left her house. You head over to her house and the door is unlocked. No one knew it was unlocked, but they sat outside and did nothing, like they weren't trying to open the door. I find this really weird, like, you can at least enter the house, but no one does. Anyways, off topic. Anyways, we go through Aubrey's room and find out that she's okay, and she has all the pictures of Mari, which were missing from Basil's photo album. We learned that when Mari died and that when Sunny went into hiding, Aubrey tried to hang out with Basil. She went to his house but saw that all the photos that he had taken, he had scratched out in marker. Aubrey was mad at this and distanced herself from him and treated him poorly because of it. You all make up and add the remaining photos, but there is still one missing. With the crew all together, the friends decide to check up on Basil. Sadly, Basil isn't home. Instead, he's at the hospital. Because his grandma is sick, obviously. We learn that he won't be returning to the afternoon, so Sunny and his friends decide to pass the time by hanging out and catching up. They also decide to go to Sunny's old treehouse, something mentioned in the lost library. Sunny is hesitant at first, but follows the rest of the team. There, they see a tree that was cut down. The tree that Mari hung herself on. No one knows why she did it, but what is done is done. They can't change what has already happened. The group heads to the treehouse, remembering old times, and find the last picture in there as well. On the back of the photo, however, there is a key with the message, "It's in the toy box." After they are done, the group heads back to Basil's house as it is now afternoon. Basil is home, however he is locked up in his room, refusing to leave. The group decides to stay with Basil as they don't want to make the same mistake of leaving him again. They sleep over at his house and wait for night to come. You wake up in White Space yet again, but this time it's Sunny who you play as, not as Omori. We see Omori instead standing there, and the only thing we can interact with is the black light bulb, and all we can do with it is break it. This is where the game takes a huge turn and gets really dark, so bear that in mind and I'll try to explain this part with the best of my ability. When you break the light bulb, you have to fight something. Something is pretty much the main antagonist for most of the game and represents his memories he refuses to acknowledge. Something is always behind him, as it is a burden to Sunny. You fight this something, as well as many other fears, as well as a disturbing Mari who is hanging, but the only way to win this battle is to overcome. Once the fight is over, you travel on a path with pictures scattered on the ground. These ones seem different from the ones from Basil's album, however, like it details an event that has happened in real life, or some sort of tragedy. The end of the path reveals Basil next to a tree. telling us to reveal the truth that we have been hiding. Entering the tree brings us to a somewhat black space with many areas. The first, our living room, the next, a hospital, the third, our bedroom. All these rooms have pictures helping us connect this tragedy. There are 2 more rooms. One seems to represent a stage and one outside, each picture helping us show the story. You are finally on a path with the last few photos, leading to the place where Mari hung herself. Finally, once you have them all, you put them in your own photo album, revealing something horrifying. Putting them all together shows the true story of Mari's death. It wasn't her who killed her. Instead, it's you. You pushed her down the stairs after an argument and broke her neck and covered it up with the help of Basil, who helped you hang her. However, the one mistake you made was that you looked back. You looked back at what you did, at Mari, and cannot forget. You wake up in the middle of the night, still at Basil's house. Everyone is still asleep, however, and now you have the chance to check on Basil. You can also go back to sleep, but this prompts a neutral ending. Checking on Basil shows that he's alive, but he also has something with him. Something he is suppressing, which is holding him back. Your only option is to fight him. No matter what you do, you can't run away from this. You can't run away from something. Once you finish fighting Basil, you pass out along with him and wake up in a somewhat peaceful fever dream in the middle of a road. The only thing you can do is head back home, but this time, it's like how it used to be, filled with furniture and other things. You are also able to enter a room which was previously inaccessible, the closet, which has a toy box which you also have the key for. Unlocking it reveals a violin, the one you broke fighting Mari. There is also some sheet music as well in the toy box. You are then sent to a rainy road called Memory Lane, with lights that reveal memories of the past with you and your friends, as well as Mari. Every time you go through a memory, a piece of the violin mends itself together, repairing itself. Don't ask how it does this, I have no clue. After many memories, the violin is finally restored, and at the end of the road there is a door to a theater. Inside are your friends in their real life forms, waiting for you to play the fixed violin. Sonny plays it, but falls to the ground, saddened by his now regained memories. You enter white space one last time. This is the final challenge, and the final boss is Omori himself, your alter ego, the part of you who wishes to repress your memories, the one who wishes to forget. The only thing you can do now is fight him and remember your friend's wishes for the future. However, in the fight, Omori can't die. Omori doesn't succumb. Just like when you play as Omori in the dream world, your health doesn't go to 0, it stays at 1, because you don't succumb. The fight doesn't let you defeat Omori, and you can't win. Well, what do? You just give up, I guess. Sonny gives up and lets Omori take over. Sonny disappears, and you wake up back once again in white space. There's a door, as always, and you enter through and you meet with your friends once again. But the music's distorted. Everything just feels off. You go up the stairs, and you wake up back in the real world. You're on a roof, some sort of hospital roof. You can tell by the clothes you're wearing. It looks like you've been hospitalized. There's a bandage around your head. And the only option you have is to jump. So, you jump. I mean, what's the point in going on anyway? You have all this regret, all this trauma, all this something you have. What's the point? Why not get rid of it? You can get rid of it so easily by just giving up. What's the point? There is no point. I don't have a point. I just want to give up. If there's an easy way out, why not let me take the easy way out? Why does everyone care so much? I just want to jump. I want to fall off. I want to go to a hospital and jump off a roof and kill myself to get rid of what I'm feeling. I don't want to feel this way. I never want to feel this way. So why can't I do it? Why is it such a big deal to everyone for me to do it? Why can't I just succumb? Why? Why can't I just let my alter ego win? It knows what to do. I don't want to care anymore. I simply just don't care. There is no point for me to care at this point. So, I just want to jump. It's all I want to do. That's why I relate to Omori so much, at least the game. That's why I relate to Omori, the alter ego. That's why. That's why I want to jump. That's why I shouldn't have played this game. However, you can choose to continue to not give up. to choose not to forget, to choose to not succumb. Doing so will let you continue the fight, but instead of fighting, your only option is to play. Sunny plays a song that he planned to play with Mari before he pushed her down the stairs. It's a very sad scene and shows the past with Sunny and Mari and all of his friends. Anyways, after that's done, Omori is gone, and Sunny's alter ego has disappeared, and he now wakes up in a hospital with his eye missing. When you leave, you see your friends from the dream world as well as the shadowy figure of Basil. Following the figure leads you to Basil's hospital room with all your friends around him. Sunny, for the first time the whole game, says the following: I have to tell you something. Wow, that was a lot to take in with the whole game being summarized and all. Jeez. When I first thought about writing the script, I didn't plan to go into so much detail about the story, but this part alone took a whole day to write, and there was so much I missed and just simply skipped over. But with all that being said, why should I have not played Omori? It's not that I don't think I should have played Omori, it's that perhaps I simply wasn't ready for it. Now, me explaining the whole story might be a lot for you, but imagine playing the whole thing, sitting down, being immersed in the whole game, feeling like you are with all these characters, and being with Sunny as he's going through everything. It takes a lot out of you, and it sure did take a lot out of me. I feel like Omori. I shouldn't have known the truth of the game. I should have never completed the game. I should have just stopped after losing all my progress. But at the same time, I felt like Sunny, the one who wanted to see the truth, the one who wanted to know, to escape. But I feel like at some points I just wasn't ready yet. I needed to wait just a little bit longer before completing it. But at the same time, maybe it was a good thing. Even with that being said, this game broke me. After completing the game, I felt nothing. I felt like a part of me just left my soul and never came back. This game is so good, but just there's so much, like, holy shit, dude. And I think that's what the game wants, which it 100% succeeded in. I just can't escape Omori no matter what I do. I was so attached to the characters, and seeing what they had become was just something. The story is so well crafted, and the music, oh my god, the music! It's been playing in the background, but it helps immersify you so much. I mean, the title screen, for crying out loud, is just incredible. It's so calm, but you know it just feels somewhat incomplete, like something is missing. And you find out later that the song at the beginning is the same song Sunny and Mari plan to perform. And when you hear the real song, it just brings everything together. All the music fits so well, like Space Boyfriend's theme really making you hear how angry he is at the breakup, or for Sweetheart, it's so fast and so upbeat to represent how happy she wants to be. Everything just fits in this game. It's incredible. It makes the player fit as well. You feel like you can be Sunny. I felt like I was Sunny. I can relate to Sunny as I feel at some points I am fighting with myself. A part of myself. A part of myself that only wants to come out when I'm alone and in my dreams. A part of myself that keeps me shielded from everything else that's happening. But I know I have to escape from this part of myself. I have to calm down. I have to focus, persist, and lastly, I have to overcome. And I think that's the beauty of Omori. Before you wake up in the real world, you have the choice of naming him Sunny. But you can also name him whatever you want. And I'm boring, so I just stuck with Sunny. But I feel like anyone can be Sunny. Everyone experiences what Sunny does. Everyone has something that they want to forget and ignore. But we have to fight it. And also overcome.
I also kind of relate to Sunny because, well, just look at me. I'm also a small white child with very generic hair. I mean, look at us side by side. There is no difference, no matter what you tell me. Sunny having two sides really connects to me, and I'm sure it connects to a lot of people as well. You know, trying to figure out which side is right. And ultimately, it's for you to decide. But at the end of the day, we still strive for the truth. To look at that light at the end of the tunnel, just like Sunny wanted. And I hope that really answers the ultimate question of why I shouldn't have played Omori. I should have just waited, you know? Waited for the truth just a little bit longer. You know, my mental state hasn't been that great for many years, and Omori, well, I wouldn't say helped it. I mean, it's a very dark game, and just really thinking about it, I don't think it really helped me mentally. But at the same time, I think it really changed me. Personally, I don't think you should play Omori when you're kind of dealing with mental problems, but again, that's just my opinion. I can't really control what you do though. Another reason why I shouldn't have completed Omori is because now I want to buy every single piece of Omori merchandise there is. And I mean, there is a lot. The developer Omocat has her own online shop. Before she even made the game, or I should say before she released it, she had her own online shop where she sold merchandise, and she also has Omori merchandise as well, for, you know, obvious reasons. But she opened that shop to help fund the game for Omori, and I think that's a very, I'm going to say it's really unironically, girl boss moment. Okay, that did not feel right to say, let me tell you. But anyways, I think that's very cool what she did, like, you know, starting her own shop while also trying to work on Omori. Like, she was juggling two things at once, you know, having this shop to help fund the game, and, you know, she was doing this both at the same time. And a lot of people, when she was working on the game, kind of got mad at her for, like, taking so long. But you gotta realize, like, it was a one-person team. I think she had like a couple other people to help her, but it was very small and she didn't really have a lot of funding. So having that shop to help fund the game, I think is so cool. And I know it feels like I'm putting her on a pedestal, but I just thinking about it, it's just amazing. And that's really all I can say about Omori. Just a masterpiece of a game, you know? The characters are just so lovable. The music is just so good. Fits so well. And the gameplay. Personally, I love the gameplay. I know turn-based RPGs aren't for everyone, but if you do it right, it just is good. I mean, I think that's why turn-based RPGs are still here to this day, because, you know, a lot of them don't really, you know, hit the mark, but the ones who do, they do it so well. You know, they always add new ideas to the whole gameplay of turn-based RPGs, and I think if you evolve the gameplay, it can really be amazing. And Omori as a whole is just a life-changing experience. You know, the game is only $20, and I think $20 is really underselling it. I would have paid $100 and still thought that I wasn't paying enough for this game. That's just how good of a game it is. It's just so life-changing. It's just honestly incredible, and I recommend everyone playing this game. Like, seriously, it's just that good. And I guess it's all that I have to say about this video. Now, this video was probably my most ambiguous, like, idea / video yet. I mean, it took months to do this video. The script alone is over 20 pages long. Like, 20 pages for one video. That, I never spent that amount of time nor work on a single video ever. And I thought I would hate this process of, you know, taking the time to write the script. I always hated script writing and then actually making the video. Like, those things take so long, and it just is so time consuming and also takes so much energy to do. But I love making this video. I want to make more videos like this, and I hope you guys want to see more videos like this as well. I mean, these sort of video essays, I think they're so cool to make and so creative with how you, you know, take it, I guess. So I thank everyone who has made it this far, and I really hope you enjoyed it. Leave a comment down below telling me what, like, a game or anything I should review next in this kind of format. And with that said, I hope you guys enjoy the video. Make sure to like and subscribe. And thank you so much if you made it this far. And thank you so much for just watching the video, taking this time to just hear what I said about a single game that, you know, not many people have played. But again, thank you guys so much. Make sure to like and subscribe. And I hope to see you guys very soon.
Since the beginning of making this video, and even before then, I've been struggling mentally. I just haven't had a good outlook on life. I've always been bored with life, never really found a meaning to it, and because of that, I never really found a meaning to live. And now, I don't really have much going for me. I lost something very important to me, and I don't know if I'm ever going to get that back. And because of that, I don't really want to be here. I know I said that I'd see you guys soon, and maybe I will, but there's a chance I won't. There's a chance that this might be my last video, ever. And I know it's sad to say, but it's genuinely the truth. I have a plan, and I've had the plan for a while, and I don't think I'm ever not going to commit to it. And I know it's sad to say, but it's just the truth. I'm sorry to disappoint you guys. I'm sorry for everything I've done. If you know me, I'm sorry, but I just can't help it. I tried my best, and even still, I guess, it just wasn't enough. All I can really say is I'm sorry, but I always apologize, no matter what. I just apologize, and I don't want to anymore. I don't want to be here anymore. What's the point of even wanting to be here? So, that's why I'm saying goodbye, for now at least. I don't know if this will be goodbye or just a see you later, but even then, I'm sorry.